So the base is now clear from traffic buildup as well as the law enforcement presence that was here earlier. Now this morning we did hear sirens indicating for people who were on the base to take shelter, as well as seeing cars backed up down the road to ensure that there was no one entering or exiting the facility. Now just before 10 this morning, Shepherd Air Force Base security responded to an active shooter report near the southeast side of the base. Now the call prompted a lockdown for both Shepherd Air Force Base and Shepherd Elementary. We were told 40-year-old Cherie Hodges was booked on 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon on a police officer. It is likely that clawing portions of this funding from every school district across the state of Texas could create some budget issues. In fact, I did speak with one expert, and he says that it is a toss-up on whether or not school districts will have to make program cuts following this decision. During the stop, they found 6 plastic bags full of fentanyl pills. The driver, 37-year-old Joaquin Salazar, was accused and arrested of importing the drugs from Phoenix, Arizona into the DFW Metroplex. Within the last 5 years, the drug overdoses in Texas have increased 75%.
It's hard to be in front of another family that not just I lost my son, they lost their son, but they get a chance to see their son. They do. They get to go visit him. I visit mine at the gravesite.
The colony collapse disorder was something that we saw back in 2006, 2007, and because it's happening again, it could increase the prices of goods in the grocery store. This vehicle is staying pretty cool thanks to the AC being on maximum, but the moment that I uncrank this vehicle on an 80-degree day, in just 20 minutes, this car can reach 109. Students are able to use these simulator mannequins to perform nursing skills, like using IVs, shots, and catheters.
I don't like needles.
We're protesters and America-loving citizens because we didn't plan on going. It was a moving of the Spirit. I felt the Holy Spirit well up in me to the point of tears, suddenly, unprovoked. And I turned to Mark and I said, honey, I think we're going to have to go to Washington, D.C. We even wrote a will to our children. We had a sense that it was going to be dangerous.
And, you would just have to have been there, really, to experience everything we experienced and understand what that day was.
On January 6, 2021, Americans were divided with feelings of liberation, horror, and utter shock as supporters of President Trump swarmed the Capitol steps of the White House.
Once we got to the Capitol, we were hugged in prayer.
There was concerns that there could have been a stolen election and enough evidence to say that it needed looked at.
There's at least enough evidence that it needs a second look.
And so people were definitely there in frustration, but it was ultimate love that had pulled us together that day. Mark and I did not expect any blowback from the confrontation we had from police. I thought I was showing them mercy.
Yeah. According to the United States Attorney's Office, the Middleton couple were found guilty of felonies, including 2 counts of assaulting, resisting, and impeding an officer, civil disorder, and obstruction of official proceedings, as well as 5 additional misdemeanors, including acts of physical violence in the Capitol grounds or building.
Nothing could be absolutely further from the truth. Yes, we made some Facebook posts and some Facebook videos that were kind of contrary, that sounded like we were riled up. Once we were leaving, we did see people climbing on the Capitol and up on the steps around the outside of the Capitol. We had no clue any of that was going to happen.
They had a bike rack separating them from 2 million people. They just overreacted. Something made them panic.
On that day, hundreds of on-duty Capitol officers were injured, 700 people were arrested, and more than $30 million in cleanup was assessed. On April 21, 2021, the Middletons were arrested for their part in the January 6 Capitol incident.
And I thought I was showing them mercy until they brought 22 federal agents, a tank,
2 joint terrorism SWAT teams out here,
and shot flashbang grenades at us and pointed guns at us and flew a drone into my house. Until that moment, I truly thought it was an unfortunate moment. I'm going to show them mercy as a Christian, and we're going to move forward.
Before their sentencing, the couple spent 3 years on personal recognizance response and 10 months on house arrest.
We were free and clear to travel anywhere in the continental United States we wanted without permission. We just had to give notice.
Had no clue the depth of the torment the government would set down on us over that day.
In February 2024, the couple was convicted on all charges and reported to serve their sentencing in December.
And so the judge ended up giving me 30 months and her 20 months.
But throughout President Trump's campaign, he reiterated promises to voters he would pardon the rioters, issuing pardons to approximately 1,500 individuals convicted in the connections to this event.
We received the full pardon of innocence from the president. That's the highest level of pardon you can get, so we were very excited about that.
We spent 34 days in prison.
They had to have us out by midnight, or that was false imprisonment.
Mark and Jalise say now they are looking for more legal protection with their pardon, filing an appeal to have their entire case dismissed.
If the judge approves that, they're saying this should have never happened in the first place, and it would be removed altogether as if it never happened. And we're still seeking justice.
I asked the Middletons if they had any line of guilt for participating in the January 6th incident, and here's what they said.
I have no remorse. There's some language I used that the government kind of made hay of it because I used to be a pastor.
And for me, I would just say I wouldn't have missed it for the world.
I agree.
If I had it to do over again, I'm going to be the first in line.
I am focused very much on repealing job-killing regulations from Washington, D.C., and also extending the 2017 tax cuts and making them bigger and bolder.
Amongst the number of laws that Senator Cruz wants to see across the state of Texas, he's also wanting to implement support for military families when it comes to student education.
Just today, I introduced legislation focused on military families, and military families in particular, to create an education savings account for military parents, $6,000 each year for military parents in an education savings account for them to provide educational options for their kids. That would apply at Shepherd Air Force Base. Wichita Falls is an incredible community, and I'll tell you, in Wichita Falls, people want jobs. People want opportunity.
I think that just overall as a district, that's kind of something, that has been, kind of given to us and tasked for us is to take care of our people. We're taking care of each other, helping each other to grow and to learn and to be better people. And so I think that's kind of how this all goes together.
The term being a helping hand was taken to another level on August 28th when a Cunningham elementary teacher went into labor.
Never did I think that helping deliver a staff member's baby was going to be part of that job.
But when her wildest dream became a reality, she and life educator Ashley Strain were faced with a quick decision.
So Miss Strain called and said that Miss Page's water broke. I would happen to be walking down the hall on the other side of the building. I just took off running. Miss Strain and we got her in a wheelchair. We took off running to the front while the nurse was on the phone with 911.
As soon as we got down there, she said, we got to go. And I was like, no, let's not. And she got up and walked to the bathroom. And I just followed her straight in there. I said, we're going to the bathroom. We're all going to the bathroom. And we got in there and she said, she's coming. And I was like, okay. And caught a baby in my hands and was standing there holding it for a second while I heard Simmons hitting the paper towel dispenser. It was just, this is happening. This is what, you just got to do what you got to do. Because, I can't imagine if we had frozen that moment, how that would have transpired. So I'm just glad that our bodies jumped into action even when our brains hadn't wrapped around what was going on.
The baby's delivery has understandably created an unbreakable bond between educators.
Well, we were already very close because, like you said, she's my para in my classroom, so we're together literally the entire school day every day. But I told her and her fiance, I was like, yeah, we are family now. like it's official. You're not getting rid of me. Sorry.
Both sides of counsel presented closing arguments. The state argued all witnesses could agree that Killingsworth has some form of authority over the congregation, and they witnessed him allowing children into his office. During their portion of closing arguments, the defense said the outcries in this trial were lies and that the prosecution failed to prove these allegations beyond a reasonable doubt. Following closing arguments, the jury deliberated for about an hour before delivering the guilty verdict. Soft weeping could be heard throughout the courtroom. The court began the punishment phase after that ruling was handed to the 79-year-old. When the state called the 21-year-old victim to the stand, she testified that this was an emotional journey. She sometimes feels she should be held responsible, but she's relieved she doesn't have to hide anymore. The defense called the defendant's son, Alan Killingsworth, who told the jury, quote, "Any lengthy sentence you give him is a death sentence," mentioned that he's not a danger to anyone. The defendant's wife seemed irritated with the jury's verdict as she took to the stand, saying, quote, "Without much deliberation, you have sentenced an innocent man to prison. Did you even think about there was no evidence?" Good evening, Texoma. I'm Brayel Brown. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's hand things over to First Alert meteorologist Cameron Lindsay. Cameron, it's a nice day outside. Are there any chances of rain for today?
For today, no. We're done with the rain for today. We saw some storms yesterday, but we are done with the rain for today and into the evening hours. But going into the later parts of the week, guess what? Actually have some looking like a pretty good rain chances on the way, but we'll take a look at all that in just a little bit. But right now, like Brayel just said, nice weather out there, 68 degrees here in the Falls. A little cooler, especially compared to yesterday, but that's because the front did drop in from the north the first half of the day today, so winds are the northwest at 9 miles per hour, but a pretty comfortable day across the region. Most of us are seeing those mid to upper 60s. Duncan, the cool spot, 61 degrees. Southern Texoma hanging on in lower 70s, but that's because the front hasn't completely pushed through southern Texoma at this current time. But as for the upcoming week, though, a cool start to the week. So tomorrow looks to be similar to today, but warm weather does return by the middle of the week, and we do end on a cooler and a wetter note. So we'll take a look at our rain chances and our warmer weather in just a little bit.
Thank you, Cameron. Thursday, first responders in Vernon went head-to-head in a basketball game named the Battle of the Badges, and the game was all for charity. Tucker Roberts was there and brings us a closer look from the sideline.
In a packed gymnasium on a warm Texas night, those from all over Vernon came to watch the highly anticipated Battle of Badges basketball game. What started out as just an idea began to gain traction when the city felt the community needed something a little more.
It has gone beyond my expectations. The support from the community, it's been overwhelming. And I'm proud about that. I'm proud of my community to come together to show these guys some love. They need some love.
Not only did this event show some first responder appreciation, but also gave a chance to raise money for local nonprofits. Money was raised by having the community support one of the teams by placing donations in their respective colored buckets. This divide also brings for some playful rivalry.
Rivalry is high as it is. Pranks have been gone back and forth over the last couple of weeks. Stakes are high. We really got to come out swinging and take it home because we don't want to be the loser.
As far as the pranks we've been doing, I know we put a glitter bomb in one of the offices. They got us back by putting a sign saying, you know, we love the fire department above our PD.
Both departments got to choose which organization the proceeds go to, with firefighters choosing Texoma Alliance to Stop Abuse, while the officers chose the Special Olympics of Vernon. Mayor Goslin says she hopes to continue this each year with some ideas of a tug-of-war, softball, or a mud war. Tucker Roberts, News Channel 6.
A group of WFISD students created a survey back in January to help revitalize Psych Center Mall, and we have the results. The students presented their findings to the mall last week, and they say over 1,100 people filled out the survey, and that helped these students identify common wants from the community. Those include retail options, enhanced entertainment, and an upgraded food court. Students say overall they felt the mall's management was very receptive to the news.
There were a lot of good ideas throughout, and obviously they can't do everything, but I do think they're going to try their best to incorporate as much of this into the mall as they can. I hope that they at least give us some more variety and options as far as stores and food and just things to do at the mall.
The students went on to say that they are appreciative that the mall management listened to them. And the Boys and Girls Club of Wichita Falls held a ribbon cutting for its new East Side facility. The new location offers children's creative outlets in art, dance, gaming, cooking, and sports. The location was made possible through collaborations with the Wichita Falls Housing Authority. Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club, Randy Cooper, says that the main goal for the facility is to create the best opportunity for generations to come.
We want to support the development of healthy lifestyle and good character, and we do this through our facilities, our financial support, our program delivery, and people. It's how we accomplish that goal. We want a safe, place for the youngsters to grow.
The previous housing director, Donna Piper, says that she's hopeful kids take full advantage of the facility.
I hope they take this as an opportunity to see their future and to have their future be bright. There's so many different benefits to this. There's new programs. They're looking at more modern things that affect children today, and I really hope they take advantage of it. They see it as the beginning and the first steps to a good life.
The nonprofit signed a 75-year lease with the Wichita Falls Housing Authority for the building, ensuring that the kids can enjoy the facility for years to come, of course, and any member of the Boys and Girls Club across town can join in on the fun at the new location on North Rosewood. And a fifth grader in South Central Texas is showing his appreciation for veterans buried in the community cemeteries. He learned that the community cemeteries contain nearly 80% of American veterans, and they don't get the same amount of care as national cemeteries. The community cemeteries are often managed by nonprofits that rely mostly on donations to keep them operating. So he wanted to make a change, and he enlisted his father for help.
They risk their life to protect our country, and we can't just leave their graves all messed up. We're trying to get a law to where they can have perpetual care, and that the families, like the veterans, don't have to rely on the families to do everything, because the family, they might not even have a family, and the family might move away, they might pass away. So, you know, that's how this stuff happens.
Together, they have visited 8 cemeteries and helped clean them. They have placed bronze medallions on veterans' graves, and they have worked to indicate which branch of service the veterans participated in during their time in the military. And this weekend marks the kickoff for the 10th anniversary of Black Restaurant Week in Houston. More than 30 eateries in Houston are participating this year.
In Old Katy at Park Place at the Boardwalk, co-owner and executive chef R.C. Simmons,
I'm gonna let this pot go ahead and get a little warm. That'll work.
Is making one of his signature dishes, spicy jerk lamb chops.
We like to use the lamb loin chops.
And the menu doesn't stop there.
We focus a little bit on Nola barbecue shrimp or catfish falaya.
But getting the word out is hard after only being around for a couple years.
What are some challenges you face with trying to get customers to come in?
We sit right behind the main drag, so there's a building in front of us here.
That's why Simmons is thrilled to be part of Houston Black Restaurant Week. It's in its 10th year.
We get a nice sear on each side of the lamb.
And focuses on highlighting Black-owned eateries in our area.
How much does Black Restaurant Week help your business?
Big time. We have an in-surge. Last year, we had a 300% surge in customers. This year, we're expecting the same.
This is one of more than 30 businesses participating in Houston Black Restaurant Week this year. And founder Warren Luckett tells me the main mission is to drive revenue and awareness.
Oftentimes, small businesses may not have that marketing budget or just that disposable income to really help drive that traffic.
Luckett, a native Houstonian, started Black Restaurant Week in Houston in 2016. Now it's an annual event in cities across America.
Now we look up, it's year 10, we're in over 40 states. Our big goal through Black Restaurant Week is to get them as much visibility as possible.
As Simmons plates his dish, he has a plea to the public.
Find a Black restaurant to eat at, find and patronize, and let us know how we're doing.
Still ahead on News Channel 6, stick with us to find out why one phone carrier's customers will be paying a little more for service.